So, today we're once again going to take a quick look at Tower of Fantasy, but this time around at one very specific part. To be more exact, the very first limited character the game is bringing into its roster, Claudia. And yes, lots of people that are into anime and anime-style games love cute girls in military clothing. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want a military dummy mommy girlfriend to step on them? Did I really just say that? Anyway, if we think about it, in the end, the outside appearance doesn't matter that much, because what truly matters is the weapon she carries, as simulacrums are pretty much cosmetic only, and just like themselves, all their abilities are tied to their signature weapon, which brings us to this katana that she definitely didn't steal from Raiden, and to question what she, or to be exact, the aforementioned sword, actually does and how good it is. And that's what we are going to try to find out today. And the simple first step towards that goal is of course looking at what Two-Face Stocking Edition has to offer. How exactly are we going to achieve that? Well, I'm glad you asked. First off, we're quickly checking out her bread and butter, aka her normal attacks and skills, then we will try to deduce what role she plays in a team based on our findings, and elaborate even further on that with some really quick cooking recipes featuring some spicy matrices, and wrap the whole thing up with a summary followed by a final verdict. Sounds good? Good. Let's get this party started then. With some basic information. I know, lame, but the more fun stuff comes later on. The Gurren Blade is a damage-heavy Grievous weapon, not the Grievous like in the famous general, more as in physical damage. And I know, in many other games, physical damage is always more lame and often also a lot weaker than the other foil element heavy stuff. But in Tower of Fantasy, that's not all too different. While physical is by no means bad, it's a lot more boring compared to the other elements, as it only provides, when charged, a decent attack buff for one attack that also inflicts one damage increasing mark on the enemy for 7 seconds. And if you don't know what charge is, well, it's just the bar that fills up around your weapon icons, that besides giving you these type effects, also allows you to use a powerful discharge skill of a weapon you are not currently using. How do you get that charge? Well, just by punching people, which sounds a lot more concerning than it really is. Yes, officer, I swear I didn't do it on purpose, okay? I needed that charge. And the number right here, which conveniently is called charge, indicates how fast this weapon generates. Well, definitely not Bitcoin, else I would be rich. But yes, you guessed it, lots of that sweet blue stuff. And if you're wondering, the value above it is called shatter. On the other hand, this provides an estimate on how easy this weapon can break these pesky shields that are the bane of my existence. And while 7.5 is nothing to scoff at, it's also not the best either, indicated by the A on the side. And as all of my Asian brothers might know, if you're not the best, you're sadly a failure. Which is definitely not the case for this katana's charging abilities, as it has an insanely high value with 12. And how do you bring that to use again? Well, of course, with your normal attacks. Her very first epic anime moment katana move consists of a simple but fast 5-swing combo, but of course that's not all, as you can either disrupt or end the combo with an upward slash that can knock up, or go full Beyblade mode with her first aerial move, which is by far not her only attack in the air, as there's obviously still the natural follow-up to her knock-up, aka her 5-hit aerial combo that gives you real anime protagonist vibes. You know these moments where they just disappear for split seconds with their katana and teleport, that's right, around you, yeah, something like that. Which once again can also be either ended with a Beyblade move to Electric Boogaloo, or just the normal 5th hit, which ends in a final knockdown. Besides, there's also some other smaller stuff, like the wannabe Metal Gear Solid sneak move that you will use probably as often as trending GIFs on Discord. By the way, join the Discord. And one last pretty important move is the dash attack, which in this case launches you at the nearest enemy, in the process trying to give them a good ride, aka knock them once again up. Okay, that sounded kinda wrong, especially cause the enemies look like this. No judging here, but you know what I mean, right? And now that we're done with the basics, let's get to the intermediate course in Claudiaology. On that note, you know what time it is? That's right. it's surprise test time. What is the barcode that's conveniently placed on a very visible area used for? I will give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Well, too bad. That's not correct. And unfortunately, you will now have to like the video and subscribe. I don't make the rules, okay? You want to know the answer? Well... Anyway, let's get to the maybe most interesting part of her kit. Her skills. Claudia's katana's basic skill is called Roam. Very boring, but its animation on the other hand is very flashy. It has a pretty short 15-second cooldown and generates slashes in a massive star form, hitting up to 5 targets in range, with same target attacks dealing less damage, and finishing the whole thing up with a final front slash that deals damage to everyone in range and knocks them into the air. And yes, I love this skill. It provides good damage, it has a pretty decent range for a melee attacker, and the dashing around can even help you with dodging attacks. And on that note, yes, while you're immune to CC during the casting duration, you can't really run around to try to dodge attacks, which is quite bad as you still take the damage, making the skill, while quite powerful, in the damage and charge department, often a big risk. Speaking of risks, your enemies are going to have to risk getting completely demolished when coming into contact with your discharge skill. And once again, small reminder, you need to be on another weapon and on full charge to use this skill. And yes, doing a perfect dodge, also called Fantasia, also fulfills the role of a charge provider. But what does it do? Well, it removes all debuffs, which is the standard for all discharge skills by the way, and launches you at the nearest target, slightly knocking them into the air, while dealing massive damage and leaving a massive Beyblade, Blade Storm behind you. And after that's done, you're also saved from most annoying CC effects for at least 5 seconds, making this a perfect tool for either assassinating enemies in a matter of seconds in combination with her skill, or launching yourself into the action and setting yourself up for massive aerial combos that would even shock EVO attendees. And with us now being done with her general skill set, it's time to talk the talk. Between me and you, I know you want her, but do you even know what she's good for? You might now be saying, of course DPS, I'm not dumb. And yes, that's technically correct, but mainly speaking, Claudia's katana does kind of want to play the second flute, as her main DPS potential is nice and all, but there's much easier to use alternatives that don't put you at the risk of dying when you're just using your skill. So what else is she good at? Charging. Lots of it. This bad boy can in fact fit so much charge into it that it can easily allow you to chain multiple discharge skills back to back to back to back, making the Gurren Blade the perfect supporting sub-DPS weapon that kind of acts as a battery to your real main DPS weapon while not losing out on any major damage while you're on the katana. And these supporting aspects can be enhanced even further with, well, your wallet. As Claudia's Blade's star upgrades are really good. Her first star gives you a universal damage buff on skill or discharge usage, which is absolutely crazy, her 3-star a physical damage buff, and finally her 5-star a skill damage buff, which is pretty decent as well. But she's a limited character, so it's not gonna be easy to get those dupes. But if you're gonna commit to getting her, I would say go for at least the 1 extra dupe in the shop, as her first star is pretty massive and provides a decent upgrade to her DPS supporting capabilities. And speaking of that, let's talk matrices. For all Genshin players among us, these are basically artifacts but with no RNG and gachaable, so I hope you have deep pockets. For everyone else, these provide you some raw stats on their own, and with multiple copies of them, some set bonuses that can be pretty detrimental to your damage or supporting abilities. But thankfully there's also very cheap options, so let's start with them. The Blue Plunder Beginner Free Set gives you physical damage increases, so can't go wrong with that, especially when you're a beginner. The medium rarity purple free set Swamp Shade is perfect if you insist on using Claudia as your main DPS. But if in the end you do decide to go with the supporting DPS route, the by the story provided non-stop free set that lets you go even faster when it comes to charging is a pretty nice and easy to get choice. And finally, when it comes to endgame or whale territory, The gold 2 and 4 set options for this weapon are Claudia's own 2 set for more aerial damage for both support and main DPS, or 4 set for people with very deep pockets that want to get the most out of a weapon, and also either a 2 or 4 set Samir or 2 set Crow Matrices. Now that we're done with the boring stuff, let's get to the verdict. All in all, Claudia and her Gurren blade are pretty nice. Claudia's design hits the right spot for me and probably also for a lot of you guys, and her 3-star art makes me feel weird when she gives me that look through her sunglasses. You didn't hear that. And her weapon is not only going fast, it is in fact reaching lightning speed, charging your weapons faster than a €200 power bank. Yes, I also didn't know that these exist. And provides a fun aerial heavy combo playstyle that combines well with other melee weapons. Generally, you're not gonna use this as your main DPS choice, or at least not for long, but its supporting qualities make this weapon a pretty good option even in the CN server, 6 months after launch. I would say Claudia is a pretty great and fun pickup if you don't really care about what's possibly releasing after her, but what you should care about is joining the Discord server. There's not much going on in the TOF department for now, but that's hopefully gonna change, and that's also why you should hopefully help me with doing that by just joining. And of course also a huge thank you to my channel members, and an extra huge one to the Grand Warlock. That was all from me, have a nice day, and see you next time.